All right. Welcome back to our continuing coverage of Super Bowl 59 through the NFL alumni. I'm Bram Weinstein. We're presented by Coursera. Better is possible. Here's Todd Heap and Dennis Pitta, longtime Ravens Super Bowl champion, longtime Raven Pro Bowler. Nice to have you guys here.
Great to be on with you.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
You guys are here with the cleats, Cadix cleats, new product, right? Been on the market for what? How long?
It's only been on the market for about a year. We've only been selling shoes for about the last 2 months, but for the last year and honestly, the IP, the technology has been in the works in R&D for about the last 8 or 10 years.
Yeah.
And so it's been a long time coming, but our founder, Jack Rasmussen, we linked up with him about 8 months ago. And it was actually about a year ago where I found Cadix on social media, and I saw it and I looked at it, and immediately my mind went to my first major ankle injury.
Yeah.
And we'd just gone to field turf in Baltimore, 2004. We're playing the Steelers, second game of the season, and I thought back to the time my cleat completely stuck in the ground as Jamal Lewis is cutting back on the backside, and Jonathan Ogden takes Kimo Van Olhoffen, about 700 pounds worth of guy, and takes Kimo's 350 pounds and just slams him into my knee. And my cleat completely stuck in the field turf.
Yeah.
My knee hit the ground sideways. I thought my knee was gone. What ended up actually happening was my ankle snapped. And so that was the first thing I thought about. And I saw these cleats and I was like, what if, you know? And I looked through the whole feed and I was like, there's no way this works. But after about 3 or 4 months of looking into it, due diligence, talking to a lot of people and doctors, and obviously looking into the patents and all the things that had gone into this, we decided to partner up with Cadix and Jack Rasmussen. And I called Dennis and Joe Flacco in the meantime. And
Well, you Ravens stick together.
the Ravens stick together. I did not know that Jack Rasmussen was from Catonsville, Maryland. So he's a Baltimore kid, grew up watching us, and so impressed with what he's been able to do. And the impetus behind these cleats is every stud can rotate and swivel on their own. I call it, each one has its own like labrum in your shoulder or in your hip. And what it allows it to do is alleviate that rotational force that causes the non-contact injuries. It helps that shoe actually move off the ground. It doesn't get stuck when you go to cut necessarily, and it won't completely stick in it, and you can actually pivot and rotate a little bit. It alleviates that force that causes those injuries. So we think it's going to be take over all of cleated sports. I mean, that's our vision for it. It's something that we've seen a lot of innovation in helmets. We've seen a lot of innovation in shoulder pads. We haven't seen the innovation in the cleated footwear, and everything in football stems from the ground up.
That's right.
And so we think this is going to be the next big thing. We've got 20 guys that have worn them in the NFL this year, and the feedback has been phenomenal. Guys like Matthew Judon for the Falcons, Juan Thornhill for the Cleveland Browns, a number of other guys, all cornerbacks, receivers, running backs, and the feedback's been phenomenal. The other great thing about this is the focus we've put on women's sports.
Yeah.
Kayla Sharples is on our advisory board. She plays for the Kansas City Current, professional soccer player, and she's phenomenal, and she loves what this has done for her in the last year. And we've got a number of women's players playing lacrosse, field hockey, all the different cleated sports. Girls flag football, but girls in particular, they're most susceptible to the knee injuries, non-contact injuries. There's more ACL injuries in women's sports by a significant amount.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know why that is, but I think it's obviously the way women's knees and ankles are built, a little bit different than men's, and they're putting just as much force when they're trying to cut and on field turf or on grass, and it's just more susceptible. But this will alleviate some of that force that contributes to those injuries, and so it's gotten great reception from men and women alike.
What was your interest in this, Dennis?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Todd first saw this on social media, and he brought it to my attention. And as a former athlete and somebody who's worn cleats your whole life, it intrigues you from the start, right? Like, if this actually works, if this actually does what it says it does, then you really have something special in this product. And so, like Todd mentioned, we went down a long, exhaustive road of doing our own due diligence and research on it, and kind of checking their research and all that kind of stuff, and it does in fact work. It does, mitigate those non-contact injuries that in sports can be so frustrating, because especially in a sport like football where it's so inherently dangerous, and the injury rate in the NFL at least is 100%. You're going to get injured at some point. If you can somehow mitigate or avoid those non-contact injuries where your cleat gets stuck in the turf and your body goes one way and your knee or your ankle goes the other way, you can make the game a little bit safer from that perspective. And so there's been so much talk nowadays about player safety. There's been so much focus, especially by the NFL, on that in particular. We've seen innovation in helmets. We've seen innovation in shoulder pads, in all the different aspects of playing football. There hasn't been much innovation in cleats in that time. And so this is a really unique and interesting product because it's completely innovated the cleat bottom. Never before have you had studs that can move and flex and do all that kind of stuff. Now, cleats do serve a certain purpose, right? You need maximum amount of traction to be able to change direction, to be able to perform at your best. And so these provide that maximum amount of traction, but when you need your foot to get out of the ground, when you need to change direction, when you're in a compromising position, you don't want that cleat to stick at all costs. You want it to be able to release. And so that's what these allow your foot to do, is you get maximum traction, but then they can release out of the ground when you want them to, and not, stick and result in some of these injuries. And so that's kind of the premise behind it, and a big reason why Todd and I got involved. We see the value in it, and my career was certainly plagued with a lot of injuries. I had 3 different hip injuries throughout the course of my playing days, and ended my career shorter than I wanted it to. And Todd's had a number of injuries too. So when we see a product like this that can make the game a little bit safer, and when we have sons and girls of our own, we want that for them. And so this is a really cool product that we think could change things.
So you guys are best of the best. Obviously, like the object here is to avoid injuries. This is going to carry over for all level of like youth sports. Parents don't want their kids to get hurt. Coaches don't want their kids to get hurt. At the same time, to your point of you got where you got to because of your abilities, how does this avoid stopping the explosiveness and the agility and the athleticism that you need to perform at your highest level?
Well, we've shown no reduction in performance. We've had a number of people test them for us, and obviously we've got guys wearing them.
Yeah.
They wouldn't wear them if there was a reduction in performance.
Right.
And that's the key. No matter how, no matter what we say it can do or anything, you put these on guys' feet in the NFL, and they love them, and they feel like they can perform. If they don't feel any drop off in performance, they're going to keep it on their feet. And if there's an added level of safety and support that they can get from this, I think it's going to change. That's what our vision is, to change cleated sports going forward.
Really cool technology. Todd Heap, Dennis Pitta. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Hey, great to be on with you.
Thank you.